tuning in today to episode 108 of This Week in Grip. Today, James is going to run the call, and we're all going to cover what went down, or rather what got picked up, at Living Legends last weekend on September 6th and 7th. And at some point, we'll probably cover Jesse Pignonen's recent unleashing of power on the double 225s kilo pinch, 220 kilo near clean, inch dumbbell clean, and massive flask pulls. But in the meantime, don't forget to like the video when you get a chance, subscribe to the channel for future notifications of new videos, and comment to take part in the discussion today. And, of course, share it with all your friends who are into grip training, because the first rule of grip sport is you tell everyone about grip sport. Gentlemen, nice to be back on the call with you, Alan and James. Of course, I got to hang out with James quite a bit last weekend, but we didn't end up doing the call, and then I wasn't there for James Fuller's call. So in episode 107 A and B, parts 1 and 2, so you guys did a great job. Thank you very much for covering everything with James. But how's everything been going, fellas? Give us an update.
Alan?
I've been just swamped with everything lately, so trying to get the training in when I can. But new jobs got me pretty busy. A lot of unexpected things to take care of there. But trying to get back into the swing of things. Otherwise, stuff hasn't been too bad. How about you, James?
Well, yeah, sort of a segue from our call last week where James Fuller had said, you have something in your garage that just sits there and stares at you and tells you you're weak. You remember that, Alan? Yeah. So
yes, I do.
I got that last week at Legends. I got an inch dumbbell that weighs out at 175 pounds, a Selene inch, and that just sort of, it's been sitting there all week while I've been training, staring at me, telling me I'm too weak to pick him up, and he's right. He is right at this point. But at some point, I will pull that son of a bitch off the ground. And other than that, in a lot of pain, been training lever top, which is a great tool for people who are arm wrestlers for sure. But it leaves you in so much pain that you are incapable of training anything else with any real efficacy. So yeah, that's what's been up with me. How about you, Jedd, other than winning the Living Legends competition?
I'll tell you, dude, I took Tuesday off. I generally train Tuesdays and Thursdays. Totally took it off. I said, Luke, don't even come near me. I don't want anything to do with you, because I just needed a damn break. That's a tough drive out to Ohio. I know you had to drive farther than me, but it takes it out of you driving. Luckily, I did not drive. I was riding, so most of that responsibility was on Joe Sullivan, and I really appreciate him, taking over the driving duties. We rode with him this time, and then Rindo ended up driving all the way out and back in his own car, because coming from Maryland, there was really, DC, there was really no good way for us to meet up and have it really make sense. Yeah. So, but I was destroyed. It was a long 2-day competition. Haven't done anything. Well, I did a 3-day comp in Ohio earlier this year in Columbus, but it was only one event per day.
What I was going to ask you is, do you think because you hit some, and we'll get to some of your numbers here in a minute, but did you expect to hit those numbers? Like, did you expect the world record on the Saxon bar?
I expected the world record on the Saxon bar, yes. I didn't know what the actual world record was, but I love it. But I had one good pull at 300 pounds during training, and several where I got to lockout and then wouldn't have gotten a down call. I wouldn't have lasted long enough at lockout to get the down call. So yes, I was expecting to be up around 300 pounds, and I would have taken one more pull, I think, with the 5 kilo jump, but I was getting just the slightest cut on my thumb from the Saxon, and I didn't want to cause any distractions for myself because I knew going into those 2 medleys that I had a pretty good chance of winning those as well. So, So I just said, nah, no thanks. But it would have been cool to get 300 right on the dot, but 297 sounds pretty good to me. I mean, I graduated high school in 1997, so that was kind of sweet.
Well, that's, it's interesting because I was expecting a 300 number to go down, and I was thinking, because, if I recall, you weren't training on that 2-inch Saxon bar because when we had Andrew Pankey on the show, he had said that it was a 2-inch Saxon bar, and you seemed surprised by that.
Yeah.
Because you weren't training with it, right?
Right. So it was originally, I think, supposed to be a 2.5, and we already had a 2.5 from last Legends. So we had trained on that a couple times, and then Andrew brought that up, and I don't know if I had already known about it and forgotten or what, but after that, Luke built one. So I trained on it, and then at that point, we kind of cycled all the extra shit out and just trained the events for the most part, and I ended up getting like 5 workouts on the 2-inch.
Yeah.
So that got me the familiarity, and 2-inch is definitely way better of a width for me as far as skin tolerance, because I was cutting like a son of a gun on the 2.5-inch. The cut that I have on my thumb that I had on my thumb for Legends was actually like a lingering injury to my skin from working with the 2.5. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I can say that, I expected someone to hit 300 pounds. And I think that if the jumps weren't so large, I think if it was rising bar and you had a choice and you went to 300 pounds, I don't have any doubt in my mind that you would have locked out 300 pounds.
I agree.
So, that is one thing that sucks with jumps like that is that you don't get to pick some of that stuff. Yeah, that handicaps you a little bit for the total number, for sure.
Right. And I don't know if we brought it up, if he would have just stuck 300 pounds on there instead of that attempt, maybe. I'm not sure. But the person that I figured was going to win that event, if it weren't me, was Aaron Corcoran. Because I know that he puts a lot more time on the Saxon bar than I do. So, and I've seen some really big pulls. I think I've seen him in the 280 range on the Saxon bar, like, for years.
Yeah.
So I thought going in that he would probably take that event, and
I
maybe
I would have predicted you in second behind Aaron. If I'm being honest, if I'm being totally honest, like if I was taking an overlook at the events and who I thought would have won, like I would have thought Aaron would have won grippers. Especially if Derniet wasn't training him, I would have thought it would have been Aaron. If you look at the sledges, I could have seen you. Lucas, definitely. I didn't know if Joe Sullivan was training hammers in that way. I know he's a lot better at more of the ulnar deviation type sledgehammer work than he is the radial deviation. So, and you and Luke seem to have a really good technique on that. But when it came to the next day stuff, I mean, Axel, I thought it would have been you, Eric, or Derniet, Eric Rusin. And then Saxon bar, I would have thought it would have been Aaron Corcoran, and then, possibly you in second place. So I mean, I'm not saying I was surprised with you winning or pulling that number, but it was, wow.
Yeah, you are.
It was pretty emphatic. No, it was an emphatic. Yeah, maybe I am a little surprised. But no, look.
I was just having fun.
If somebody said before the event, Jedd's going to win the Saxon bar, I wouldn't have been like, no way. I mean, it's not like out of the realm of possibility. It's just, watching Aaron train it specifically on his Instagram, I was thinking, man, this is like, it's probably going to be his event.
Yeah,
I agree with what you're saying, James, because he spends most of his time on that, and it's really his device, right?
Yeah.
So
sure.
that would have definitely been a reasonable thing. So, which it goes to show you can never count Jedd out on the stuff.
Of course, yeah, but I think Jedd would even say that Aaron's performance on the Euro at Gripmas too was like, you know,
excellent.
Yeah, he's got that stuff figured out. Yeah.
He took that event, and you know, I got to tell you guys. So the way the trip worked out, we were going to drive right to our B&B, but then plans changed, and Paul asked us to just stop in on Thursday at his house, and Aaron was already at the house, and I walked in, and I'm like, holy shit, this dude is freaking massive.
Yep.
And he stood up, we shook hands. Yeah, dude.
Oh my gosh.
It's the biggest, and I'm not saying he looks heavy or fat or anything. I've just never seen him so broad and thick before. And when I shook his hand, it felt like a brick. And I was like, this dude's ready. This dude is ready.
I couldn't tell the difference between his ears and his traps. His traps look like Aaron's.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were like...
Aaron, or Alan, guess how much he weighs, dude?
No idea. How much?
295 pounds.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
When he said that, I was surprised in that that's a number you don't hear that much. I mean, Aaron's only about 6 feet tall. And 295, dude, I mean, it didn't surprise me afterwards when he told me that he was like benching 365 for sets of 3 or 4 or something, and he's training for a powerlifting meet is what he's doing.
He mentioned that when I met him out here. Yeah. I had no idea. Like, you see him, you know, just talking on the grip board or even his pictures on Instagram and stuff. I never would have envisioned he was such a large guy. Mm-hmm. You know, like in his pictures, I see somebody that's maybe 5'8". You know, really, he's much larger in person. I was really surprised.
Right.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that I always say about Aaron is, and this is the thing that he has that really reminds me of Dennis Rogers has it too, is sort of that explosive kind of thing that is just, it's so weird. It's almost alien to look at. You know, like when you like, if you ever train with him a little bit and you see how quickly he does things that are like world-class type feats, and it's just like, it almost happens, it almost looks like sleight of hand. It happens so quickly. You know what I mean? It's so explosive. And that's one of the things I remember about going to Aaron's house was when he was playing with the 45-pound hub, and he was like throwing it in the air and flipping it and catching it, and like it was just like, and I'm like, oh well, maybe it's just like a really easy hub. And no, it was a 45-pound plate with a basic kind of deep dish. I think it was 3 or 4 spoke hub. So
that stuff's all by design with him.
What's that?
That stuff's all by design with him too. He puts a lot of thought into that kind of stuff.
He does.
Yeah, I mean, that's all figured out. It's not a guess or some random thing. He knows precisely what he's doing. You know, he's crunched some number behind that.
Yeah, he looks physically more impressive than I've ever seen him. So Jedd is certainly right about that.
Alan, did you see the footage of his gripper closes?
I caught the one. Yeah, it was the one that I saw actually was a miss, though, I think. Didn't he miss his top end?
Yeah, his set on a 185 is just as fast as his set on a 165.
Yes, yeah.
It's like he's got it down to a science. It's like a 2-hit set, and it's in the same spot every time. He's easily got the best set I've ever seen on grippers, and that's going back all the way to 2015. When I competed with him at 2015, I was like, damn, I got to work on my set because my set ain't that fast. My set's not that good if I brace it against my leg.
Did you notice Thomas Larson, how efficient his set and close was?
Dude, I couldn't really see what he was doing. Like, it was mystifying to me. It was like I was looking through heat waves coming off the ground or something. Like everything was so like precise. It looked like it was in slow motion. So it was kind of like the opposite of Aaron's set. Yeah. But I think he closed every gripper that he went for, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or maybe missed the last one.
Hydraulic. It was like the slow hydraulic close. But it was so weird how deep he could set a gripper and still slide a 20-millimeter block through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like he had it basically closed, slide the block, and then do like this quick like pinky ring finger movement, and it was closed. And like Andrew Pankey and I were joking about it, like, oh my God, like I've never seen anything like that. It's so ridiculous. But he closed some pretty big grippers too. But yeah, Aaron won that, and to be honest with you, you know, I don't know, like I've seen Andrew Derniet close some grippers that are absolutely obscene, you know, and even where Andrew is now, he's obviously closing a better gripper than I can, you know what I mean, or ever could. But I was expecting Andrew to be right there with Aaron. I don't know about you, Jedd. Maybe you had some insight as to, you know, what Andrew has been or hasn't been doing. But I really expected those two to really be, you know, tit for tat in grippers.
Well, he's always up there in grippers no matter what, and he retains excellent strength. I mean, he told me he has not touched grippers since Gripmas.
Yeah,
so
I believe
he probably closed the same gripper at Gripmas and then didn't train them at all, and still got the 165. I know that he, Thomas Larson, and I all got 165 without looking at the results. I don't know if anybody else did, but I know we were all tied, and then of course Aaron had the 180. So
yeah. Aaron won that event, and then, you know, I'll tell you, I know I'm a little bit of a homer on this, but my boy Pork Chop in those hammers, he just about had 27.5 pounds on those hammers, which would have tied him with Luke and Jedd, who topped out at 27.5, and he just couldn't get that last little bit at the top. And that was Pork Chop's first time doing anything like that with hammers. So
that was very impressive. He was impressive all around. He's really got a bright future ahead. I'm looking at the results now, and it was just me, Thomas, and Andrew tied at 165. The next
Where was Luke?
Luke was at 160.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Jason Dingy was also at 160, as well as Tim Butler.
Yeah, I thought so.
And what was the max close?
180.
180. Okay. All right.
Yeah, which is my all-time best on that gripper set back in like 2016. I believe I closed 180.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you take a stab at the 180?
No, my attempts were 160, which hit so hard I'll probably have to inspect the gripper. It might be damaged. Then I did 165. No, then I jumped to 170 because I thought I wanted to get on the board and then go for the 170. So those are the exact attempts I took. I don't know how far off the 170 was. I'm sure it wasn't too far off. It was probably a card, like always, credit card, you know, width. And then I was like, crap. So then I dropped back down to 165 and tried the 170 on my last attempt again.
Yeah, Jedd's like me, where he misses at a credit card width. You know, it's funny. I can't remember what event I was at, but you know, Nate Browse was judging, and I could have sworn I touched the handles on this gripper. And he made this little thing with his fingers where he was like, oh, it's that close. And I just looked at him. I said, hey, do that again with your fingers. And he did. And I said, look, that's how much I care about grippers.
You know, that's got to be tough for the judges, though, because there's so much movement and crap happening at once.
Yeah.
Andrew said it was hell judging my grippers.
Yeah, you know what? So just going back to James, you might have clicked the handles or something like that. It's just a matter of not being able to see it.
Yeah,
exactly.
So much in an instant.
It's like one of those things you feel.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things you feel, and I could be wrong. I mean, you know, I could have felt something that wasn't there. That's possible. You know, but yeah, sure. But no, I already told Jason, you know, when we have grippers at our event next week, I don't want to judge them. I don't, you know.
No,
I don't want to be anywhere near it, because a lot of times I think something is or isn't closed, and I'm wrong, and I just, you know, I'm not the best at that, you know. So it is a difficult job to judge grippers. We'll put it that way.
Yeah,
for sure. Not easy.
But you know, that second event on Friday was the hammers. It was the slim lever, and that was from the floor, and it was with a pad that I think a lot of people weren't familiar with. There were a lot of people who had difficulty with that hammer setup. Wouldn't you agree, Jedd?
Yeah, I saw there were several people that were getting, a certain weight over on the warm-up setup, and then would miss it on the competition setup. And there was probably about at least a 3/4 inch difference in depth or height, however you want to define that, from the warm-up to the competition setup, because I think it was pretty much the same pad that people had their knuckles on, but on the competition setup, that pad was also surrounded by rubber mats on either side.
Yeah.
They were attached to wood.
That was the difference.
Yeah,
because I noticed people were having a problem with that, and I was like, wow, because there were people that they were like, I just did this over there.
Right.
So they thought they would open there, and then they were having difficulty getting it or missing it. And I think there were a few people who just completely bombed out on it, right, Jedd?
I think there were 5 people, Thomas, Tim Butler, and there could have been some people in the other class too. Yeah,
stick it in the warm up and then go there and you blow your opener.
Yeah,
That's a bitch.
Well, it happened.
Man, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was a frustrating thing for sure.
Jake zeroed out initially.
Yeah.
Jake, Tim Butler, Thomas Larson.
Is that Jake Salaney you're talking about?
Jake Salaney.
Yeah,
yes,
Jake
sir.
Salaney, yep.
Okay.
And I think Brandon Gerber also zeroed out on his hammers.
So I would have thought maybe Jake could have been able to train on the actual apparatus.
Well, he just had a rug rat at the house.
Okay.
So,
okay. All right. So he's probably okay. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in that time period now where it's like you get no sleep and you opt for everything.
Yeah. Training's probably not happening at all right now. Yep.
Yeah.
That was the first time I met Jake Salaney, and I gotta say, it's weird. I guess because when you arm wrestle as much as I have, you just look at people's forearms. There is a quality to his forearms that is kind of difficult to describe. Do you know what I'm talking about, Jedd? There's
real thick and weird shaped forearm.
Yeah.
Like the muscle belly goes halfway up his forearm.
Yeah, they look like bowling pins. You know what I mean?
Oh, is this the type of forearm that everybody wants to have, though?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, that's the picture I'm getting in my head anyway.
Well,
the type of guy that looks like he does grip stuff.
Well, you know what he looks like? Like, if you ever look at, like, some of the old school boxers, okay? The guys that would, like, punch a bag 1,000 times a day kind of thing. They had the same sort of quality. It's like a bone density thing. So hard to explain, and I'm probably not doing it any justice, but he just has like this. It's just a weird thing to look at his forearms. They just don't. I'm not saying they look odd, like they don't fit him or anything. I'm not saying that, but they have a quality to them that look kind of imposing, kind of menacing.
Well, he's definitely historically a more well-rounded grip performer than he was able to show at Living Legends. I think the rust is accumulated right now, and once he gets it knocked off, I think he'll be right back to where he was before. But you have to remember, this is a guy that once held the Blockbuster pinch record at like 100 pounds and some change or something like that. So
yeah, he was the first to get to 100 on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe he's lifted the Man Enough block weight, which is 88 pounds and like 4 inches wide. He's done a lot of good stuff, as well as little bighorn numbers. So
yeah,
he's got some skills.
Well, yeah,
didn't he hold a little bighorn record at one time, or wasn't he close to it?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did. So on the second day. Going into that second day, what they did was the people who couldn't open up at 20 pounds, was it, or 22 pounds? I think the opener was 20 pounds, right, Jedd?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, the people who couldn't open up at 20, they allowed to redo the hammers and start at what the open class could have opened at, which was whatever. I think it started at 5 pounds or whatever the apparatus started at. So they allowed some of the people who bottomed out, who were in the Legends class to redo their attempts. Am I getting that right, Jedd?
Yeah, I don't remember what the opening weight was that they tried.
I want to say it was 12.5 or something.
Well, that makes sense because there is a 12.5 on the score sheet for Thomas and for Tim Butler, and then there's a 15 for Jake Solaney.
Yeah, it was either 10 or 12.5. They allowed people to start over at, and then they were at least allowed to get some kind of number on the board, which I think was a decision that was made by everyone. I think it was proposed to Andrew, and Andrew basically said, "Look, we'll vote on it," and it didn't seem like anyone had a problem with it, though. Well, nobody voiced an issue with it. To put it that way. So that's where we started day 2, and I think on that second day, the top lift was something like 15 pounds. I think it was Jake Solaney, right?
Yeah, 15.
Got 15. Yeah.
And then Brandon didn't return for day 2, so he got zeros throughout the whole rest of the competition.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what exactly happened there. He may have had something else going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And so should we go right to the axle?
Well, hey, so who exactly showed up to this anyway? Did Todd Conan make it down?
Todd didn't make it down. He was injured.
That sucks.
We messaged.
Okay.
I connected James with him because James was doing research on all the competitors because James was the MC of the event.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad.
So I still haven't met Todd Conan in person. Every contest where we were supposed to be at the same comp, one of us got injured.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But so the people I had met that I didn't meet before, at the top of the list was Andrew Dubé, the Doob.
Yeah, man.
I had never met Andrew Dubé, so that was cool. Because,
really? He was at SJ4.
How did I not meet him? I could have sworn that was the first time that I met him the other day.
Yeah, no, he was there.
At SJ4. Oh my God.
He was.
Well, there were a lot of people at SJ4 though.
There was a lot of people.
Now I feel like a jerk because I've followed Andrew for a long time on Instagram and I like his home gym setup. I think it's it just looks like the funnest place to go play, in history, And he does all the he does a lot of strongman stuff, and so it was cool to maybe I did meet him at SJ4, but it was cool to actually talk to him at this event, which shows you how aloof I am at times. So.
And it's good to know how people's names are actually pronounced because I've called him Andrew Doob about 6 million times.
Yeah.
Well, I was always going with Dubé, but I started using Doob because I thought that went along with the Doob Cube, right? So that's how I put those two together.
And that's exactly how I sort of broke it to him. I was like, all right, well, I want to know how you pronounce your name because I just assume it's the Doob Cube, or is it the Dubé Cube?
Bay.
So then he told me it was Dubé, but he said people pronounce it every which way but loose, which is pretty much how my last name is too. And at some point you just get to a point where you're like, go for it. Whatever you say, pal.
Oh, we never brought up your last name pronunciation. Did we agree that was Rederides?
That is exactly what it is.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that is what it is. And it's been, gosh, look, people wonder why I have the sense of humor that I have. You look at that name, you remove that I, you got problems. You got all kinds of problems. I always say there is no I in team, but every day I wake up grateful that there is an I in Rederides. Because if there wasn't, Alan, I would be in a white coat, in a white padded room.
That's hilarious, dude.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
I never gave that any thought about the eye. That never even occurred to me, actually.
It's a very important eye. Yeah, it's a very important eye.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
it's interesting because, like, usually, Alan, like, when I announce an arm wrestling event, I have this booming sound system so that I can reach all corners of the event. And it's usually like a, 5-6 hour stand-up comedy routine where I bust people's balls, and then I give facts and I announce the event. You know what I mean? I couldn't do that as well because the sound system was like a gradient above, like one of those home karaoke machines. You know what I mean? So it wasn't exactly the booming sound system, but I did have fun announcing the event. That was pretty cool.
Dude, we used a karaoke machine one time at a contest back in like 04 or 05 to announce people's names. So that's funny. That's funny.
Yep.
No speakers either, just the karaoke machine with the microphone and stuff. Yeah.
Well, you figure I've had the karaoke machine at events where people were just like, "Yeah, man, this is the sound system," and it's got like sometimes it's like something you'd see like a 9-year-old girl would get for Christmas, and it's got like a little shooting star and a microphone on it or something.
Nice.
And you're like, really? Is this what we have? Is this all the thought that we put into it? And it's been anything in between that. And I announced an event one time in Vegas. It was on Fremont Street. Now, it was on CBS Sports Network, and it was also, it was like a PA quality sound system on Fremont Street. And if you've ever been to Fremont Street in Vegas, it's got like this dome above it that they do like a laser show and stuff on. And you could hear it from blocks away, the sound system. So yeah, you think about that, and then you think about a karaoke machine, and every single thing you can possibly conceive of in between, I've worked on it. So
nice.
So this was more, Alan, this was closer to the karaoke machine, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
So to answer Alan's question, yes, Andrew Dubé was there. We didn't really talk about anyone else there. I came up with Gary Stewart and with Pork Chop, Mr. Steven Samniego, and then Jedd had Rinderly with him, Joe Sullivan, Lucas Raymond. We had Timmy Butler was there, Eric Rusin. It was cool to see Eric. I haven't seen Eric in forever. Hilda Holtebu and Thomas Larson came out from Norway, which was cool.
Yeah.
They had no clothes with them initially, Alan. They they lost their damn luggage, and it was like still overseas when they landed here. So they had to go to like the dollar store and just grab like random mesh shorts and white T-shirts. Thomas kind of looked like Eminem.
You didn't have enough Diesel Crew shirts to go around, Jedd?
Well, they were already outfitted by the time I got there, and then Luke hooked them up with some Arm Assassin.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I was wondering what that was about. Luke had the Arm Assassin shirt on a lot of people. So,
yeah, he did.
Yeah. And then the smooth sounds of Dave 101 was there. So Dave 101, whatever his last name is that he doesn't want people to know, he was there. Rich Cottrell was there. Darren Shulman was falling asleep while he was judging, but he was there, which I busted his balls about because that's what I do. You had Jason and Melissa Dingy. Who am I missing, Jedd? Probably missing somebody.
Well, my results here, I don't have the open. I don't have the open competitors here, so.
Yeah.
I think maybe you hit everybody, dude.
The top four in the open classes, I remember them, was Steve Samniego, Pork Chop, and then Gary Stewart, then Andrew Dubé, and Tom Flesher. So.
Yeah, Tom Flesher came up with Timmy. They were in the same car.
Okay.
And then Dave 101 came, I think, was that his dad that he was with?
No, I think it was a friend of his, wasn't it?
Oh, maybe it was just his personal driver. He was looking like John Cena. He's really looking jacked.
Yeah.
I thought it was John Cena. So we had John Cena and Eminem at this competition, man.
Yeah. Now Dave 101, he has this one thing. I forgot who was it that slapped him in the back. Was it Joe Sullivan?
Joe Sullivan, yeah.
Giving him. It was kind of like
Slap City.
Well,
yeah,
if you
Slap
ever watched
City.
Over the Top, and over the top, there's the cameo with Jombers Inc. where he's like slapping some dude in the face like 90 times. It was kind of like that, only it was Joe Sullivan on the back of Dave 101. So I got a kick out of that. He was, yeah. Was it Dave or was it Dubé? No, it was Dave, right? That was getting the slaps. It was Dave. It was Dave 101.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
And then there were also a couple other dudes in attendance that didn't compete on day 2. It was Anthony Vasaturo.
Yes.
And then
Anthony
the other Timmy guy.
Was it Timmy?
Yeah, Timmy.
Yeah.
I can bring up. Yeah, he was there. He was the guy with Anthony.
Yeah. Young fella.
Yeah, I was messaging with him a little bit. Let's see here. His name is Timmy Livingston.
With the dog.
What's that?
The guy with the Great Dane, was that Slater?
Yeah, that was Steve Slater. He came later on. He brought the new inch dumbbell for Joe Sullivan. Or he came and picked up Joe Sullivan's old inch dumbbell that had a flawed handle, and he was going to replace it, but the foundry didn't ship the dumbbell out in time, so it wasn't there, so it was going to be shipped back to Joe's house afterwards. But, yeah, that was Steve Slater.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. I talked to him. I didn't even introduce myself or anything, but we talked for a little while because we're both big dog guys. So, but now that I think about it, it was funny because James Fuller, in the last conversation we had, the last show we had, was talking about Steve Slater, and then I'm I think that was him, wasn't it? So yeah. So we're probably missing somebody. Obviously the Pinky crew was there. And we're obviously missing somebody, and we're going to feel terrible about it, but nothing personal to whoever we miss. So should we move on to Axel, Jedd?
Yeah, let's go to Axel, dude. 2 3/8.
Yeah, man. Yes, 2 3/8 inch Axel. And, to me, this is where, I honestly thought 2 3/8 inch Axel, that it was going to be Derniet and all Derniet, but God, Eric Rusin.
Yeah.
Jeez, this guy's thick bar is something else.
Yeah, man, he's a monster.
Something else. Yeah.
They both hit 170 kilos, Alan.
Oh, nice! Holy crap! Okay.
Yeah. And was
that good for first?
Alan, that is yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, that was first place.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Let me think. Third place was... Oh, go ahead, Jedd. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say 170 is 374 pounds.
Yeah.
So that was my last attempt, which I missed.
Yeah. I was
and I don't remember.
Third, right?
Yeah. With those two guys tying, then I came in at 165.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah, what I was going to say is, I expected somebody to get 300 on the Saxon bar, and I expected Andrew to get 400 on the Axel. But, Andrew Derniet is, as we know, is not just a grip athlete. So Andrew Derniet was probably, in a triathlon wearing a gas mask or something.
Oh, what did he end up with?
Competition. No, he ended up with 374, was it, Jedd?
Yeah.
And Andrew and Eric tied for the win. And I think Andrew took a very good attempt with 5 kilograms more. and almost had it locked out if I remember correctly.
They might have both. I think they both took attempts at 175, but I think Andrew got it just a little bit higher.
Yeah, Eric pulled it up a little bit and just said nope, like that. I remember that. Like Eric was like, nah. He's like, I'm not even going to put any more effort into this thing. He's like, nope, we're good. And then after that, Andrew took an attempt, and I don't know. I think a lot of people probably had expected him to lock it out, but he almost had it locked out, and that was how the axle had ended. So, but I thought it seemed like every single event, it was two guys that were really going at it, and I thought that was cool. Like the Saxon bar, that was that way. The axle was that way with those two, and then the anvil with Thomas Larson and Luke Raymond. That was
very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah. And Jedd, correct me if I'm wrong, you hung around there until very close to the end, like 2 attempts away from the end. And you ended up, was it third?
Let's see. So Luke was in first with 125 kilos. Thomas got 120 kilos. Yeah. And I tied for third place along with Andrew Derniat with 100 kilos. Yeah.
Now, Jedd,
I finished way behind where I should have. I definitely had like a brain fart on my technique and messed some stuff up.
But at 105, what happened and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Jedd.
Sure.
At 105, you had a missed attempt, and then you had 30 seconds. See the way? Yeah. So it was like Jedd. I thought a lot of people didn't manage the 30 seconds well, if I'm being honest. I thought a lot of people, they would try to take like 4 attempts in 30 seconds rather than like take an attempt, all right, I missed it. Now let me get everything prepped right, let everything rest in my body, and then take an attempt with like 5 seconds left. And Jedd did that, and I want to say it was with 105 kilograms, and I missed it by a pubic hair. I mean, it was so close to that crossbar. And I want to say it was it 105, Jedd? 105 kilograms?
I believe so. I don't think I would have taken a 10-kilo jump, so probably 105.
Yes, it was like 231 or something. So Jedd ended up tying for third, but was like right there at being the only person in third at that. And then, Alan, what followed was Luke Raymond and Thomas Larson just like both getting to the world record, hitting that easily. And I mean, Luke had these Luke on that kind of reminded me of Thomas Larson on grippers, where it was like, I'm just going to pop it up, hit the bar, and put it right down.
Oh, yeah.
And almost put it down in the same exact spot where he lifted it up from. Whereas Thomas Larson had more of kind of like the V-bar technique where the pin kind of rolls around a little bit, like there's some rotation in the anvil. Thomas had a technique like that, but again, like they were just tit for tat all the way up to, what weight was it, Jedd, where Thomas Larson finally sort of tapped out?
125 is where he missed.
Yeah. So 125.
So Thomas was going first every time, right? Right, James?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was 253 pounds, which was still good enough for a record. Like they had both broken the previous record. And then Luke just kept going to the tune of there was a point where I was sitting there talking to Katie, and I was like, I think Luke might hit 300 on this thing. He
did in training.
He did. Yeah. Where did he end up?
He got 302 in training, and what we both ended up having happen was there's something going on in our wrist sometimes on that event where we would get like this, I don't know what you'd call it, some kind of a pinching or a rolling feeling.
Gary's got it.
I get that when I work with a regular anvil, like Iron Mind's anvil. I get that kind of thing. Something happens, and then it kind of, I don't know, it hurts like hell for a few days. I almost get this, like a cyst thing in there. And, it screws my wrist up for whatever reason doing that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I got a really bad one. Man, I don't think I had a good workout on that thing from July. It was really bad. I got 275 in like June or the beginning of July, so I was really happy with that. And we were training to probably, it was like near lockout. We didn't have a crossbar and knock bar on there until like the week before the competition. So
yeah.
So we were pretty confident with everything. And then I think probably just all the attempts added up, everything 2 days in a row,
Sure.
Sleeping like shit the night before the second day, all that stuff added up to a little bit more difficulty in the competition than we would have liked. But he was able to carry a lot more of that training success into the event than I was.
Oh, and just like he's the master of those sort of lifts.
He really
Any
is.
kind of anvil horn. He is really he's really great at that.
Yeah, between the he is over the current world record in training on Little Bighorn, the Legends Anvil, the David Horn Handshake, the Stockton Slapper from
John Oka.
From John Oka.
Yeah.
And we haven't done 2-inch V-bar in so long. He'd probably be up over that as well. It's just a position for him that is so strong. It's that wrist deviated, ulnar deviated position, kind of like the pickaxe, which he's, his current number is like right behind mine in the pickaxe, I think, or maybe he's right ahead of me. I don't remember, but we're right neck and neck.
So has he been on David Horn's version of that? That horn top that's like an anvil top that's like rounded?
Oh, I forgot about the horn top. Yes.
Yeah.
He's at or above world record on that, I believe, as well. He ordered one of those from David.
Good. Because he's got to set that record too. We'll have them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke. It was something to watch, man. It was really cool to see Luke do that. And then after all of those festivities, what am I missing? The medleys.
Yeah, the two medleys, dude. That's how we rounded out the competition.
So I'll set the table for this. And what I noticed from some of the open class guys was that, they were gassed after all those events. So you got to picture this, Alan, like if you were normally a guy who could, pull let's say 160-pound dumbbell or a 165-pound dumbbell with a 2.5-inch handle.
Oh, that's no problem.
That 150 was going to be a problem.
Sure.
Okay, because that's how gassed people were from the axle and such. And so I believe it was up until Jedd got to that point to do the thick bar medley, the dumbbell medley. I think Derniet was the only person who had pulled the 200-pound dumbbell. Am I right, Jedd?
That's totally correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Thomas had tried it. Thomas got to it and tried it, but barely got air underneath. Yeah.
Now Derniet had gotten it, and the thing is, like, he breezed all the way up through the Thomas Inch bell, and then took his time and got the 200, and then went to go lift the 230 whatever or 225, something obscene that no one was going to lift, kind of thing. And
that dumbbell was crazy, man. Alan, it's like one of those pro style
like
dumbbells. It's patterned after Millennium dumbbell. But I think it was like 225 pounds total, and it was hard, man. That was a hard dumbbell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Jedd came up, and at that point, Derniet was ahead of everyone else in the medley, based on the fact that he was the only person that loaded the 200-pound dumbbell. And what happened, Alan, is it went by time. So Jedd sort of positioned the dumbbells so that he could sort of alternate hands. So he could do, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jedd, but it was like you did the lighter bells with your left hand. And then once you got beyond the inch, it was like, now you can switch to your right kind of thing.
That's right.
Or did you switch to the right at the inch? I forget which.
Well, I kind of forget too. I can watch the video and tell you.
You probably had that all planned out weeks in advance too, I imagine, Jedd, right?
I knew exactly what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what I was going to do.
James, have you ever seen his site?
And everything.
Okay, have you ever been on the site, TGA, James?
No.
Jedd's coaching site? Okay. He explains all of that kind of stuff. You should. You should, because there's so many of those little details like that get handed to you. Yeah, it's worth looking into. Yeah.
Well,
there's a lot of thought that goes into those things.
Yeah, I'm going to do it because I want to lift the inch, and I'm helpless with that thing right now. And I have a 175-pound inch bell. And
yeah, you got screwed. You got a heavy one.
yeah. Pork Chop had Jason's up both hands, and it was made by Salaney too. Same bell. He had it up both hands, probably about 6 to 10 inches the other day. He grabbed mine and he couldn't get both bells off the floor. So I got stuck with this goddamn mutant bell. But I'm going to lift it, damn it. And Jedd is going to help me, aren't you, Jedd?
That's right, brother. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and you were right. I got the 125, the 150, and the inch left-handed, and then as I go to the 180, everything was positioned perfectly. All I had to do was basically swivel my body around and bend over, and I was already lifting the 180. So I was in perfect shape too, I should say.
Inch. Yeah, and by the time you got to the 200-pound bell, you were ahead of Andrew's time, even though Andrew went through those quickly too.
Yeah,
and
so
you didn't dilly around with that 200-pound bell. You got it up like soon.
Well, you nailed the 200, huh?
Yeah, I loaded the 200. So I've got my video here. So I start on my phone. I start at 8 seconds. So I'm loading the 125 at 8 seconds. I'm loading the 150 at 12 seconds. I'm loading the inch dumbbell at 14 seconds. I'm loading the 180 at 18 seconds, and I get onto the 200 at 21 seconds. So that's loaded by 23 seconds in. Yeah. So then I had, like you said earlier, James, when I took the break on the anvil, I did the same thing for the 225. In fact, nobody thought they were going to lift the inch. You want to know why? Or the 225, because it wasn't chalked. Nobody even chalked it. So I had to do a quick chalk whispering during the rest of my remaining time.
That's it. But
how did you do on that one?
Nah, nothing. Absolutely nothing, dude. It was obscenely hard.
Those handles are slick as glass. Yeah. You're screwed.
There's no seasoning.
No texture.
No seasoning on that. Right.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was a heck of a medley, man, and I think at that point, Jedd had gotten that, and I think Luke had said that was the only time he ever pulled the inch in a competition type setup. So
That's
after
correct.
everything that Luke had done in those previous 2 days, he was able to pick the inch during the medley, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, he lets out what my dad would call a war whoop when he lifts it too. He's like, "Roar!" like that.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think, did anyone else get to the 200-pound bell? Eric did, and so did Thomas Larson, right? Eric Rusin?
Right.
And Thomas? I think they were the only two others.
Eric must have had that in him, huh? Pulling the 200 bell?
Let me check.
No. I think only Andrew did. Yeah.
He did get the 180. He did get the 180. Now I can go to my videos and I can see how much air he got, and I'll let you know.
Well, then he was probably just gassed by it, because that's got to be in his wheelhouse there. That 200.
Well, I'll tell you, Alan, it was a long couple of days.
Yeah.
To watch somebody go through all of that. I mean, I think about, like, if I trained to grip one day and then had to do it the next day, it would be hard for me. Yeah.
No, when you talk about missing like that 165, that's how things are for me. If I do something in training, what happens at the end, it absolutely depends on the order. But I don't there's no 2 days out of the deal. I got a half an hour, and then all of a sudden I'm screwed. You're not even, you ain't breaking shit off the ground then. So, but no, I got to think Eric's got the thick bar strength. He's got to be able to have that 200 bell in him, fresh.
I'm sure he can do it fresh. Unfortunately, I don't have his video. I might have been going to the bathroom or something because I hydrate so much and I'm constantly going to the bathroom, and I think I had a little bit extra in me during this contest, so I ended up missing his video. It could be on my other camera because I kind of set that up so that you could see everything and then just hit record and let it sit. So, but I haven't gone through that disc yet. I'm just looking at my phone.
Sure.
Yeah.
How'd Thomas Larson do?
Thomas did really well. I mean, he got through the 180 bell, and I think the 200 stopped him in his track. But Thomas did great on the Blob medley.
That's right.
Oh, I'd imagine.
You know,
he must have been able to touch his thumb and middle finger on the Blob by now, huh? Does he have like 11-inch hands or something?
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, you know, everybody was saying that Fat Man was a really tough Fat Man Blob, and he didn't seem to have any trouble with that at all. And even that half 130 Blobzilla, Blob Father, you know, Blobatronic, whatever the hell everybody calls it, you know, some kind of murderous act that was done to a perfectly good 130-pound York Legacy bell. He took that half and he loaded it pretty quickly. And I want to say Thomas and Jedd were the only two that got that, if memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
And I think
he
Jedd
finished,
beat him on time.
Yeah, he loaded the Blobzilla in 33 seconds. I loaded it in 21.
Yep. Yeah. So Jedd flew through the dumbbells and the blobs, and at the end of it, so Jedd, you were top 3 in every event, weren't you? And you won 3 or 4 events. I'm trying to think.
I won. So if you count the first place tie with Luke on day 1 on the hammers, I came in first place on 4 events. And you're correct. I tied for third place at 100 kilos in the anvil. So I was in top 3 in all the events. I didn't realize that till you just said that.
Yeah. So Jedd won the overall at the event with Lucas coming in second. Yeah,
there were 14 points between Lucas and I.
Overall.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The last, and it was, I'm used to nail biters, Alan. Like, there's usually like 1 to 5 points between first and second place. And after day 1, there was a 1-point difference between Aaron and I. But, you know, gradually that division got bigger and bigger. I didn't help myself at all by only getting 100 kilos on the anvil, and then Luke and Thomas getting 125 and 120 respectively. But there was a pretty good space. I had some extra confidence going into those medleys, you know.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Because like you said, James, I figured Andrew Derniat would be the winner of the thick bar medley.
Absolutely.
So I was thinking there was a good chance that I might lose a little ground there on that one, but everything fell into place where it needed to. So by the end, you know, 14. I think it was a 14-point. Well, I've got the results right here. 1 second. So I ended up with 669, dude. And then Luke had 645. So, it was actually 24 points. I can't even do math. 24 points. I thought it was 14. 24 between me and him. And then there were 30 points between him and third place. So third place was Aaron Corcoran. So Luke got 645 and Aaron got 615.
Yeah.
And then things get really close after that.
Yeah. So what were the differentials after that?
All right. So Luke had 645 in second, Aaron 615 in third, so 30 points, and then 611 in fourth place for Eric Rusin. So only 4 points difference. And then 608 for fifth place, Andrew Derniat, so only 3 points difference. In sixth place was Jason Dingy at 602, so only 6 points difference. Seventh place was Thomas Larson, 597 points, so only 5 points difference. Then you see some sizable gaps. And in eighth place, it was Joe Sullivan. He had 559, so about 30 38 points.
Yeah.
9th place was 544 for Mike Rinderly, so another 15 points. 10th
Rindo.
place. Yeah, Rindo. Did we? Yeah, we mentioned him. 10th place was 531, Jake Solaney. So 12 points between those guys. 11th place was 526, so 5 points difference to get to Tim Butler. And then Brandon was way down the list because he didn't compete in day 2.
Yeah.
He only had 81 points after day 1.
And Pork Chop and Gary were 1st and 2nd in the Open.
Yeah, dude.
So, Pork Chop.
Dude, how much did he weigh the day of, dude? He was heavier than me, I think. Wasn't he like 280?
Who, Pork Chop?
Yeah.
Pork Chop was like 305.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. Monster. Alan, dude, this guy is like a Samoan beast or something like that, dude.
Yeah, we talked about that, if he was Samoan or not.
Did you watch him climb the wall?
The wall? No, I did not see that. I heard about it, though.
Yeah, he climbed up the rock wall like a cat. Like a 300-pound Filipino cat.
That's awesome.
I mean,
it's awesome, dude.
You know, and Pork
He's
Chop
got a
is
future,
the wrong
man.
name for him.
He's
got a great future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of his biggest opportunities right now, James? Like low-hanging fruit. Like what's his gripper technique like? Stuff like that.
His gripper technique has improved so much, it's unbelievable. Like to the point where, like, you know, we got him closing, you know, threes, and I really think, like, I think he closed a 140 at that event, but I'm telling you, like, I've seen him close heavier grippers. And he said, for some reason, he said that the 145 actually felt easier, or the 150 felt easier than the 145, because he skipped to 150 or something. I forgot how he did it, but he said the 150 felt easier than the 145, but he just couldn't manage to get the 150 closed. But yeah, his goal right now, like we have our event coming up this weekend, he wants to hit 170 on the 2.5-inch crusher, which him and I are pretty tit for tat in training. But he's been a little bit better on crusher than I have. He wants to hit, what was it? He said 150, I think, on grippers, which he's close. On two-hand pinch, on the Euro, I think he's been in the 190s. So, you know, for somebody who's really just starting out with pinch, he's really getting there. He's pinched 45s already. So... And I mean, look, man, he's only been training with us for like not even 3 months.
Yeah, dude.
So he's on his way. You know, I mean, he's on his way. He's had a couple of different inch bells off the ground with good air. You know, I mean, he's getting them up like, you know, to the middle of his shins. And I really think, you know, come the end of this year, he'll certainly have the inch pulled. No question. I think he'll be able to do it with both hands.
And how old is he? 23?
25. And he can do pull-ups, and he can climb a rock wall. He can load like a 300-pound stone to his shoulder. I mean, he's just, you know, he's a hell of a strength athlete. So I really look forward to seeing him in the future. And, you know, he's a very humble kid, so he doesn't, I'm not saying he doesn't believe in himself, because he does. But I think sometimes he looks at larger strength athletes that are taller than him, because he's not a very tall guy, and he thinks, I don't know if I could do what they do. You know, so we're going to try to knock the self-doubt out of him, because I mean, you know, I try to tell him, like, you know, he says very laudatory things to me and about me, and I appreciate that. But I try to tell him, like, by the time he's in his 40s, he's going to, you know, he can do things that I never dreamed of by the time he gets to that age. So,
How old
really
is he?
Forward. What's that?
How old is he?
I think he's 25.
Oh, he's got time. Oh yeah,
he's got plenty of time.
Yeah, there's plenty of years to go. Oh yeah,
yeah.
He'll be a beast. Yep.
But he's kind of an old soul too. He's like, you know, I'll tell you this though, he's not easy to go on road trips with. I'm going to blow up the spot a little bit here. Because, well, he sleeps the whole time in the car, even in the daytime, and it's not Gary and I were trying to figure out what his snoring sounds like in the car. And the best that I can describe it is, it sounds like Louis Armstrong playing the trumpet wildly because he's drunk or maybe high, okay, inside of a deflating balloon animal. That's the best way that I can describe.
He doesn't wake himself up to this?
No. We wish.
Huh.
Like at one point we woke him up because we were like, dude, you're going to die. Like look, I'm not a doctor, but you have apnea. Okay? So,
yes, he does. There's no two ways about it. Yes, he's got a thing.
So whatever you got to do to stay alive, go for it. Because, you need one of those Darth Vader CPAP machines because you
need a microphone and some earphones for him so you can blow it up when he's sleeping. You put those on his head and it just hears it louder.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that to screw with him when you're heading down the road. Yeah. That would suck. I can't imagine being trapped in a car with that. Hearing somebody die.
I'm a light sleeper, and so is Gary. But neither one of us snore, so we stayed in the same room, and we were like, Pork Chop, you got to stay in your room, dude. We can't. I'm sorry, man. We'll meet you tomorrow morning at breakfast. And then, breakfast started at 7, and he stayed at my house the day before we drove up for the competition. So I'm like, I'm probably going to have to wake him up because, he doesn't wake up well on his own early in the morning. So I'm calling him, sending him a text. Gary and I are walking down to the lobby at exactly 7 o'clock. Pork Chop's already there, man. Dude he's been sitting there waiting for his breakfast. And let me tell you something. He literally ordered everything on the menu, on the breakfast buffet menu. So yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So he was chewing on the corner of the menu when you walked in then, waiting for his food to show up?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Put ketchup on it, No, but
huh.
I took
the pants were starting to fit a little loose.
Yeah, I posted it on Facebook, the picture I took of him, and he ordered something like 6 more eggs after that and more food. So that young man, bless him, he's got a healthy appetite.
I like to have a full belly when I'm competing too. I got to tell you, I don't like having hunger pangs.
Yeah, and I think that was it. He was thinking, I'm not going to eat anytime soon, so I better stuff my face.
Might as well eat it all now. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a great event. I thought Andrew and Katie did a great job, and I sent along some input to Andrew because I didn't realize he sent that in a group to a lot of people, and I gave him a little input, and I hope it doesn't come across like negative or condescending, but I gave him a little input because I really think that's an event that could do pretty amazing things, and not end up costing him money. I think it's one of those events that could end up blowing up into something fantastic and actually make him money. But that just probably comes from my years as an arm wrestling promoter, thinking that there's, maybe a better, more profitable way of doing things.
That does suck to think that he's losing money on a deal like that.
Yeah.
At least to break even,
Sure.
Profiting would be ideal, but at least to break even. But to lose on a deal like that, that's just bullshit.
Yeah.
Putting all that into it, and then I don't like about that at all.
Well, I will say the guys. I mean, look, there was top-notch competition there. It was really, really tough comp, really accomplished guys who were there. I just, my hope is that in the future, it can be one of those things that is, kind of like in arm wrestling, we had this event called the Can-Ams, which was the Canadian American Championships. And, it was just one of those events that there was no question whether or not people were going to go to it. They were going to go to it every year, and it was guys from all over our country and a lot of people from Quebec and Ontario. And, for years, it would draw 200 plus people. And, I see something like Legends as having the same kind of capacity to draw. I really do, But
yeah, absolutely.
anyway, maybe my advice is unsolicited and unwelcome. I don't know, but just I don't know, something I've been thinking about.
Well, I think one of the biggest things for Andrew is the fact that he's driving so far in order to put the contest on.
Yeah.
And I know that it sucks for me when I run nationals or North American Championship, as it is now, in Elmira, New York. And that's only about an hour and 10-minute drive for me.
Yeah.
He's going, I don't know how far away. So there's a lot more expense there, a lot more pain in the ass. You're missing several days away from home. Just doing the contest is 2 days, but I think he had a day pinned on the front and the back of that as well. So it's a lot of. I mean, I would go to this contest in an instant if it was in wherever he lives in Michigan. I don't care. You know, I'd made that drive before. It's probably 14, 16-hour drive.
Yep.
I've made that drive before, or I would get a flight. So I don't really care where the contest is for this one. You know,
Sure.
I don't want to make it a habit of flying to every grip contest that is, you know, being put on. But you know, in that case, it may just be time for him to do that in his own backyard, in quotation marks, in his own backyard, so that he doesn't have to know going in that he's footing a multi-$100 bill just in the travel. So
well, how much time does he have in it outside of that? You know all the prep work that goes into it. That's months.
Yeah.
It's months.
Yeah,
Tremendous time investment.
A lot of work into it. And you know, I mean, I saw in my days, and again, it's like definitely not a knock on Andrew's gym, not at all. That place was awesome. You know, it was at Durney at Strength. It's a really cool gym. It's like kind of the gym of my dreams, if I'm being honest. But you know, one of the things that I realized when I was an arm wrestling promoter is, if you know, you can put an event on in a hotel ballroom or a gym or something like that, and if you're not getting any sponsorship money out of the deal, you're probably paying for the use of the venue. You know, whereas you know, if you do it closer to home, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to do it too close to home. I want to do it at a central location. But if you do it closer to home and you reach out to people who you already know in the community or people who are local, and you get some kind of sponsorship from them. You know, we always used to do clubs because, you know, nightclubs have all kinds of liquor distributors dying to sponsor things and, you know, throwing money at the nightclub saying, sure, let's do this event or that event, some kind of, you know, event to get people here and see our product or use our product. So it's like it's a dollar to exposure ratio thing. If you do it at a place where they have a stage or something, you know, but they also serve food and they serve beverages, and they can not just make money on, you know, the people who come to watch, especially places that only, you know, tend to have people there at night. If you tell them, well, hey, listen, you know, we're going to have a bunch of big hungry guys here, you know, possibly the night before to weigh in, definitely the next day to weigh in and compete. They might eat 2-3 meals here, plus order drinks. You know, you'll see at the end of the day they're making, you know, tens of thousands more dollars than they would have. Now, what that helps you do is you end up getting sponsorship money from whoever their local distributors are, and then you also get sometimes some from them because it's a good investment for them. Then you can lower the entry fee from like $100 to like $30. So now the athletes are happy because they're like, so hold on, I get to go to this event, you know, that's going to be at this really cool place with a stage and compete, and I only got to spend $30 for entry, and the awards are still awesome. You know what I mean? So it's like in the end of it, everybody wins. You know, Andrew would make money on the entries and not lose money, and it would be closer to home, so less of a hassle. But look, I mean, it's his event. He's going to run it how he wants to. I just hate to see him run it and not kind of get what he deserves out of it. You know? So I hope what I'm saying is not like putting a damper on things. I'm just sort of free associating here, but just something I was thinking about.
No, I agree
with what you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
What about James? What about post-contest feats? Did you see anything cool go down like afterwards that was noteworthy?
Well, the interesting thing was, man, and I was kind of it was kind of a bummer for me because I was testing all of my 1-rep maximums for things that I'm going to be trying to hit next week in our competition. So I didn't do much, All I did see was I saw Pork Chop lift a half 110 blob, which, to me is amazing because he hasn't even lifted a 50-pound blob yet in training. And he lifted that 55-pound blob, the half 110 legacy, which I thought was awesome. I saw him climb that wall. I saw Thomas Larson doing some amazing blob feats. I've never seen somebody that can facelift a blobzilla like that. That's just insane.
Yeah. Did he do that after the contest?
Somebody said they saw him do that. I just saw him wrap his hand around it.
Okay.
And sort of plop it off the ground a little bit.
Right.
But it's amazing how much his hand reaches beyond that. It's just crazy to me that somebody can do that. But, Jedd, what was that blob that you reversed and picked up?
That was the 110.
That was the 110, yeah.
Yes.
Well, you did thumb on the round?
Yeah, exactly. I put the thumb on the round side. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was on the legacy. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. How was that? How did that feel? Did it a pain in the ass?
No, it wasn't too hard. I think I'd probably do a 115.
Okay.
With the right,
okay.
With the right texture.
How does that pair up to like a fat man?
Similar.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Interesting.
Very similar.
So what about you, Jedd? Did you see? You must have stuck around. I mean, we had to drive back to Charlotte, so you must have stuck around for some feats.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really see what everybody else was doing. I just wanted to try a couple things because, well, first off, I won the 150 baby inch, and then eventually I asked Andrew if I could swap that back to him and get the 200 and pay the difference in price. So he ended up doing that for me, and now I have the 200 at my gym. But I didn't think I was going to. Yeah, I didn't know if that was going to work out or not. So I tried a combo lift of the 180 and the 200, and got that for a double, a simultaneous lift.
Whoa.
So that was pretty good. I did a couple rows with the 200-pounder. Like one each hand, pretty level. I was trying to keep them pretty level. Andrew did a couple level lifts, I think, with the 200, or at least tried.
Now you got to clean that thing,
Yeah. So it's a steel. It's a steel inch.
Oh, beautiful.
It's steel.
The 200 is steel?
The 200 is steel, and the handle shrunk a little bit, so it's a little bit under the 2 3/8 standard.
Yeah, but it's still awesome to clean.
I mean, I'm not going to say I'll do it anytime soon, but I definitely think it's doable. I mean, I can deadlift that thing easy, like with just minimal warm-up and chalk.
Wow.
Because people at the gym were like, well, can you lift it? All week they were like, can you pick it up? And I'm like, well, I loaded it on the thing in the contest. No, right now. So then I probably picked it up 5 or 6 times last week. So I just think I've done so much 2 3/8. Yeah, they're doubting old Napalm.
You need a picture of yourself holding it on the wall then.
What's that?
You need a picture of yourself holding it.
Yeah, probably. You're right. I'm not real good about printing out pictures. I'm lucky to have the trophy up in the gym right now. I don't really do that. So Joe Sullivan gets on me because I don't have like my own personal shrine set up in the gym.
You should. It'd be like in that movie Dodgeball, where that one character has a picture of him with him, like his hands with the bull by the horns and all that. You should have like a big Jedd, picture, like animated. Yeah, caricature.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Now you're thinking about it.
With arm wrestling, I don't have any of my trophies on display. They're either in a box in the closet, or I think it was about 2011 where, like, I realized every time I brought home a arm wrestling trophy, like, my wife was a little annoyed with it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do is I saw this guy, Chad Silvers, do this, and I started doing it after he did it. I would win a trophy at an event and just give it to some kid who was there, you know, because it's like they'll get a kick out of it. I got nowhere to put it at home. You know what I mean? It's a win-win. I didn't come here for the trophy anyway.
You should turn them all into lamps. So it's like the movie A Christmas Story. You remember that, where they had the gigantic leg?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that is hilarious. Yeah. I might have to do that.
That'd get under her skin.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's right.
Boy. Oh, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the contest was a lot of fun.
It was.
I had a great time with this contest. It makes a huge difference when you're not running the event, honestly, so that you can really focus on just performing well. So that's a big difference maker. You know what I'm talking about, guys. I mean, you guys have run contests and stuff. It's tough.
It feels like you're not even there. You're just running the contest, but you don't actually see what's going on.
Yeah.
You miss the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean. So, because, like, there were so many times I'd have to, like, help run an event, and if I decided to compete in it, it's like, you know, you do research on guys in, like, super matches or something beforehand, so you know enough about them to talk about them and you know, during the event, and then you also have to go out there and compete and do brackets, and so yeah, it becomes a problem. It becomes more of a hassle than sort of a good time.
Yeah, it turns into work all of a sudden, doesn't it? Except you're not getting paid.
Yeah, and it's like, did I work all week to what? Work on the weekend? No, you know. You want to, the weekend is time to do the fun stuff. So yeah, it looked like everybody had a good time, and that was certainly my goal announcing the event this week. I wanted to make sure that people loosened up and had a little fun. So.
Yeah, you did a great job, dude. I thought that was cool having that going on. You know, anytime there's a contest here, especially if this guy Eli Thomas comes, there's a lot of shit talk, and it really makes it a lot of fun and keeps it light.
You need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need that. It really draws attention to things. It makes it seem a little bit more real. Yeah. That's an important part of it, I think.
Yeah. And you know what I find is it doesn't affect the way people lift, you know, or perform. It's like, you know, people who
I think it ramps them up.
They do. Well, sure. I think Jedd. I don't talk like shit to people when I'm announcing an event. I mean, I'll just like throw a little joke in here or there, you know. But a lot of what I'm announcing during an event is you know, pretty cool things that they've done, you know. And then maybe I'll, you know, like I said, I'll slide a joke in now and again. It's usually something that I just think of in the moment. You know, it's an organic process for me, Alan, at this point. It's sort of like these calls, you know. It's just an organic process. Whatever happens, happens.
Yep,
you know?
I get it.
But I thought it was a really well-run event. You know, it ran quicker than expected.
It did.
We had to really slow it down at certain points because we were so ahead of schedule. So
well, that was good. I thought his schedule looked kind of ambitious with how things were laid out. You know, like such and such a time it's this, and then I looked at that and thought, holy, I mean, it wouldn't take much to throw a wrinkle right into that. So that's good that it went real smooth that way. So.
Yeah. Totally. It was very smooth. It was the funnest event I think I've been at in a while. SJ4 was pretty fun too, I got to say that. But I will say it will not be more fun than the Arm Highland Grip Strong Power Wrestling Games. Or no,
isn't it hard to remember all of that?
Highland Grip Strong. Highland Grip. Shit, I don't even remember what it's called. Anyway, it's this weekend in Statesville, and you should come because we will have everything that you can possibly lift will be there, just about. And, you know, we will also have beer and whiskey on site because that's what you do with athletes, real athletes. It kind of, did you ever see that movie Kingpin? With Woody Harrelson and Randy Quaid? It's a bowling movie, and they, at one point, like, they announced, like, the bowling nationals, and, like, they're showing all these guys who, like, got their stomachs sticking out, and they have shirts on that are, like, 9 sizes too small.
Small, yeah, right. I know.
They're just like these out-of-shape schlebs, you know what I mean? And he says, we have some of the finest athletes here today in Rio, and they're panning across these guys. That's what this weekend is going to be. So, you can come for the spectacle.
I love it. Well, when you're announcing it, James, if you forget the name of your competition, you're just supposed to, like, start humming or mumble or something like Pearl Jam. Remember that?
It's the arm
just wing it. It works perfect. Yep.
Yeah, but I'm actually not going to be announcing. Jason has really taken the bull by the horns in this event. This is pretty much a Jason Otto event, and he's taking a lot of pressure off me, which is cool. So we're all going to just go and perform and have a good time. And I think Gary is going to be doing the scoring. Gary and his girlfriend Anna are going to be doing the scoring. So that'll be cool. I can just sit back and lift weights and act like a dope. So do what I do best.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's going to be a good time. I wish everybody the best down there, James, and I'll be sending out some like a prize package this week. I think I have Jason's address for that.
Thanks, Jedd. That's
thing. I said I would do it like 2 months ago and haven't done it yet, so I'll try and remember tomorrow.
Thank you, Jedd.
Oh,
that's great.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Rumor has it that Alan Hynek will be there.
No, I'd love to have made something like that, but unfortunately, it just doesn't work in the schedule.
That's right.
But hey, I do have a suggestion since we're going to have alcohol, though, James. If it gets to the point of shotgunning beers, instead of using the classic key through the little UPC code, maybe do the thumb thing. It's a little test of strength. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. We used to do that at after arm wrestling events. We do that once in a while. Yeah. Yep. Throw the thumb through the can kind of thing.
Yep. Good deadly thing, and then knock them back.
I don't see any risk there. I don't see any risk there at all.
No, there wouldn't be. No.
Yeah, a bunch of guys, all looped out, drinking stuff, Hey, it's like, we're going to have Atlas stones there, and oh, man, that'll be a riot, yeah.
You'll need to find something to throw in the air, too.
We can barely stand up, and we're, lifting stones up.
I can't wait to hear about this.
Well, we'll be. It's like the usual. Like we'll be very sober for the first couple hours, and then it'll change.
Yeah. We need the hungover recap of it all.
Yeah. I built a fence one time with my neighbor Sean, and we had like nail guns. We had 2 nail guns, and we had 2 cases of beer. And it's like an all-day process. You're out in the sun, And, like, the first side of the fence that we built was, like, perfectly straight. But we were just drinking and just fucking around with these nail guns. And, man, we got to the last side of the fence, and we started sobering up. And we looked at the second, like, the back of the fence, and it was just all kinds of just, like, bent and curved. And so we had to, like, knock them out and redo them because building a fence while drinking is it's not a good idea. Lesson learned. This is my PSA for the day. So
you didn't start twirling around the nail guns like it was the Wild West or anything and pointing them at people?
We probably did. His girlfriend at the time was like, you guys are foolish. She said, you guys were just being foolish.
That kind of stuff generally doesn't end well. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? All these situations, I always seem to live through them. So,
yeah, right.
Maybe this weekend will be different at the Arm Highland Grip Strong Power Wrestling Games. So you might see my demise.
I think that changes every time you say it, doesn't it?
Probably. I had it nailed down pretty good last week, though, on the microphone. So.
Sure.
Well, anyway.
You know what I just realized, James, is Gary and I never did the chop off.
The chop off.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Totally dropped the ball.
Yeah. You know what that means, Jedd? I got news.
I got to come down.
You got to come out there,
come down. Yeah.
Can't believe I did that.
So we will see Jedd on Saturday.
Why mail the stuff if I'm just going to be down there?
Exactly. In the beautiful, picturesque city of Statesville, North Carolina, conveniently located to I-40 and I-77. So we will see Jedd there. It's so easy to get there that Jedd will have no choice but to come down, compete, and get into a chop-off with Gary Stewart.
Yep. Yeah, since Gary ducked you at Living Legends anyway, right, Jedd? That's a good opportunity.
Yeah, man, I was waiting around, and
I don't even think Gary remembered it, because we haven't even talked about it since. I think it's just something that, I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah, next time, Well, anyway, that's Legends for me. I don't know what else you guys got.
No, I'm good myself.
So am I. Thanks, guys, for covering everything. It was a great time. Thanks to Andrew and his wife for all the work they did. Darren, Andrew, Derniat for hosting. Man, there's like in-laws and parents and stuff helping out, dude. It was great teamwork from a lot of people.
I agree. Hey, Jedd, by the way, before we forget, Jesse Pignonian.
Yes.
We should probably mention that, huh?
Yeah, he's a freak. He's an absolute freak. Yeah. He's on a roll right now, dude. Pretty crazy. He's put up some amazing feats. I know he's at 130 or so on the flask. That's above world record.
Yeah.
He came really close to cleaning 2 20-kilo plates, which, I mean, I don't know how many times that's ever been done. I can't think of anyone that's done it. And then, of course, we've already talked about the double 225-kilo pinch, first person in the world, and he cleaned the inch dumbbell recently. So,
yeah,
pretty impressive.
Yep.
Yeah,
and just something to mention too, to follow up on what Alan and I were talking with James Fuller about last week. He was talking about this old school York plate, 20-kilogram York plate, that he said they were like, there were so few of them out there, it was unbelievable. Well, I think it's Carl August Mertz ended up lifting it by the hub, and James had said that it was probably one of the hardest 45s, to hub, that particular 20-kilogram York plate, because the hub is shorter than a normal old school York, and it's sloped. So I definitely want to mention that feat as well, because that was pretty cool to see. I saw that on his Instagram. So,
sure.
But I don't know what else you guys have for this week.
No, I'm good. That was it for me. So.
Those are the main highlights for me, brother.
Okay.
And once again, congratulations, Jedd.
Thanks, dude.
Fantastic.
Appreciate it.
Yes, congratulations, Jedd. Yep.
Thanks, man.
That's a huge compliment. So.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's it for episode 108 of This Week in Grip, the Living Legends recap. Hope everybody liked it. Make sure to comment down below, and we'll be back next week with another one. See you then.